Hi guys, going to do another wee story time on a past life thing, which again I'm just going to read from my book because I don't want to forget anything about it. So I hope you enjoy it. Get a wee coffee and sit down. They're quite short, and I'm not going to get upset at this one like I get upset at the Mary Campbell dreams. So you're all fine, but it gives reasons as to why certain things have happened in my life. So. Now, at this point, it was the mid-80s and we'd bought a big house in Rutherglen, a big old house from 1885, and it was a disaster. It was lovely, but it was definitely, what would you say, a bit of a money pit, to say the least. So that's the background to it. I wakened up many nights trying to open a door halfway up the stairs from the second landing. The problem was that in this house there was no door. My husband, that was my first husband, would waken me gently or I would waken myself. I would stand bewildered in tears looking at the blank wall. I knew that there should have been a door there. I remember this so much, actually trying to get in and think, why is the door? And every time I was sort of back in dream time, I could see the door and it was exactly where it should have been in the house, but there was no door. Anyway, it was the door that I went through when I was sad or scared. I was so confused. The next day I would soothe myself with music from my favourite band, Level 42, and there's a point in this. It helped me feel calm and more sure of myself. I seemed to visit the room when I was particularly stressed or when life was getting me down, but because I couldn't actually get through the door that wasn't there, it actually left me feeling worse the next day. Even when we moved house, I still remembered the door and that I could never get through it. I knew someone lovely was behind the door. I loved whoever was behind that door. Then one night I had a dream and it went on for a very long time. And when I had the dream, I wasn't in that house anymore. We'd moved on. I remember standing on top of a hill looking over countryside towards a large white and grey house. I was walking with someone and I knew I was on the Isle of Wight, that's in southern England. I've never visited the Isle of Wight in this life. I knew that this house was where I'd lived. Then I remember sitting in a chair in the hall eating an apple. It felt illicit as I knew I shouldn't have been there. I looked down at my chubby legs as I swung them back and forth. Then a maid came out with a broom and ordered me upstairs. She said I shouldn't be downstairs as proper folk were coming and they didn't want to see a Mongol. She hit me with the broom and I ran upstairs, past the first landing and up to the door I always searched for in my dreams. I banged on it crying and it was opened by my granda, who ushered me into the best place ever. It was a room that was cluttered with books and dust and the smell of tobacco. There were two big sofas in it and a chair. They were heavy chintz material. I can see this just now, just looking at it. This room has been seared into my brain. There were two big sofas in it and a chair. They were heavy chintz material. I ran to one and my granddad came and sat beside me. He gently whistled a tune and cuddled me. I was safe. I didn't know what a so-called Mongol was, but I knew I was one, and it was obviously bad and unworthy if I'd been hit by the maid. Yet I felt safe and protected by my grandfather. Once I saw this, I realised that my attempts to enter the room in the old Rutherglen house were simply me replaying a past life. My own life was becoming more and more stressed, and our house was old like the one in my my dream regression. It also helped me understand why I've always been connected to Down children. I helped out at a children's home when I was in my teens and had many Down's friends there. Sometimes I felt that I was going to have a Down child myself, and I felt sure I would cope. this is because in the Isle of Wight, probably in Edwardian times, I was a Down's child myself. Sometime later, I saw a documentary on the band Level 42, which I adored. Anybody that knows me knows since about 1981, right through to now, that's been my band, jazz fusion, jazz funk, and I just adore them, particularly Mark King, who's the singer but the bass guitarist. Anyway, enough background, but Leaving Me Now is one of the best songs in the universe. Anyway, the lead singer and world famous bassist Mark King said that he'd been thinking about a house in the Isle of Wight where he was born. He started as a milkman and admired the big house in the hill. He knew that if he ever made enough money that he would buy it, which he did a few years later. I saw him being interviewed in it, and that one moment I was taken back to being a wee Down syndrome boy looking at the house from the outside. I felt instinctively that Mark King was living in my house. I have other past life stories, but this was one of the first that convinced me that we live and how we live is important to future lives. I'm sorry my reading and that wasn't very great. I've got a lot of tinnitus just now and I don't have my hearing devices in, so my voice might not be its usual clarity, if you want to say that, but I just wanted to get that story out there. So I mean, even the things that you don't think are linked or you would never think were linked, sometimes you get, the band that I've followed for nearly 40 years, oh my god, that's big amount of time. Anyway, the band that I followed for all that time, I felt really connected to the bassist. I like the music, but very much connected to him. And then after all those years, I realised that I believe he's living in my house. I don't know if he's still there now. I'm not that bothered, but looking at the house from his eyes, like showing the house in the documentary, I was like, that's my house. So anyway, that's the story of the Down syndrome life. And as I say, I think it's just called Downs now. And I have a very, very loving place in my heart for Down's children and adults. I always have, as I say, when even at age 12 and up, I went on a Saturday to a children's home and regularly had a lot of fun with the Down children, and I did enjoy it. I made so many friends, and as I say, I felt at one point that I would have a Down's child, but if I did, I would cope fine and it would be okay because it was known to me, and I knew it was known to me, but I just didn't know why or how. So seeing that life in maybe Edwardian times explained that. Maybe use that to look at yourself and, is there something that you connect with? Is there some maybe type of person? Is there some country? Is there some place that you feel so connected to? And maybe try and think why, and maybe even ask your guides to let you dream it. Or go and get a past life regression, or I'm not so into the regressions. I like the past life readings that are done by very good clairvoyants or mediums or tarot readers. I always I can do my own, obviously, but for people that don't like hypnotism or feeling that they're not in control, you're far better getting a past life reading from a tarot reader looking back the way and visualising than maybe being put under hypnotherapy or hypnotism. That's just my opinion, but then there's only a couple of occasions in my life that I've actually allowed myself to be hypnotised. Do you agree with me there? Anyway, if you like this story, give me a thumbs up, and hopefully I'll do more. Anyway, many blessings. Bye.